What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about The Lost Children. This is a documentary that's currently on Netflix. It doesn't have audio description, which is odd, I'll admit. It is an international documentary. Sometimes they do that, where they, just like sometimes they do with their international movies, um, they just don't bother. But I think when you're talking about a story that sort of captivated, what's funny about this movie is that part of the reason I decided to watch it is because it's trending. It's like in the top 10. So it's a documentary that's in the top 10 as of at least the time that I watched it and recorded this. I'm not going to put it out right away. I have a bunch of reviews to put out, and anyway, but um, who knows when you're watching this? 2025. I have no idea, but I it is one of those things where it's like, how did you not, like, I think about the audience for the film and like, who is this made for? And yes, while it happens to be, it's set in Colombia because that's where the thing happened. So people speak languages down there. It is dubbed. All they need to do is throw audio description on it. So it's just really about access at this point. It's really just about talking about, you know, why are we choosing to not give access to blind people at this point in terms of footage? Now, what I'll say is it is a documentary and there's a lot of talking, but still, they're traipsing through the jungle, and I have no idea. They're talking about these, like, some of these, there are sort of two disparate groups here, like mercenaries and then indigenous people. And I don't know what the differences are. I don't know what they're dressed like or look like, or when the cameraman is briefly with the mercenaries, he does say, we can't show you their faces. So I'm assuming they don't. But this is based on the news story from a couple years back, that there was a plane that was carrying a mother and four indigenous kids that they were supposed to be traveling to see their father. And the plane crashed, and nobody knew where it was or whatever, but or if anybody was alive, if there were any survivors. And of course, when you have a plane and that's like predominantly children, um, I guess people were like, well, we should go look, we should go see, just in case. So these search parties are sent out to try to find the plane. Part of that is sort of this like military army ish regime, mercenary esque thing. And then the other half are these indigenous members who, you know, understand, who are like, these children are always a part of our culture, and we can't just let them go. We know them. He used to sit right over there and draw, that kind of thing. Like, we get sort of the backstory. It's interesting how they also talk about, like, how they don't want to destroy the jungle as they're moving through it. They're like, this is not ours. And it's such an interesting, it's like, wow, to hear that when you're going through it, and you're just like, I mean, they're worried just about, like, as they're going through the jungle, not to cut down or cut too many roots or cut down too many branches, and just navigate carefully through the jungle, um, on this journey, on this trek, on foot, obviously. I mean, obviously they're not, because that would make it worse if they were driving shit through the jungle. So, a lot of work and effort went into finding these kids who ended up being alive. I know it's kind of a spoiler, except for if you read the thing on Netflix, it does kind of reveal the fact that they were found alive, and this is their story, Um, so no, the movie doesn't end up with, oh my god, the kids are dead. It's like the world's most depressing story of a search party. But uh, yeah, they find the kids, and it tells you this sort of state of condition that they were in. And I'm like, I applaud the camera crew that went on this journey. Um, and documented this. This is sort of like for documentary purposes, that this thing exists. I don't know that it's like the most stunning work of filmmaking that I've ever seen, or that it necessarily dives. It doesn't want to dive too hot politically into the reasons why the indigenous culture and the mercenaries don't get along and the long-standing feuds. It hints at some things, but it doesn't like really from that perspective. Some filmmakers really push back on their governments. Other ones just don't want to be killed by them. So this guy just chooses to direct a film that it does what it's supposed to do, which is it just tells you the story. Now, they may hint at some things and have some of the people in the film who are like, "Yeah, we don't trust. No, no trust," um, but it's not gonna that's not what the film is about, right? The film is about finding these kids, so it's not gonna stop to be like, "Well, the reason why is let's go into it." We're gonna break away from the footage of marching through the jungle for this deep dive into the history of Colombian politics. It's just not a thing. So, and I think probably maybe that's maybe the one thing that lacks is a lot of people get to sort of reference, oh, that one. It's be like if you just kept watching a documentary where everyone was like, yeah, everything was great except for that one time. And you're like, what was that one time? You do get kind of curious. You're like, what was the one time? What happened? Oh, you remember when Jim did? Oh yeah. Oh God. Fucking Jim, man. What did Jim do? What did he do? You would want to know. So, um, I do kind of want to know. I do kind of want, I kind of wanted like a little bit of a, okay, so now we have to explain Colombian politics to you for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then we'll go back to the movie. I did need that because it seems to be such like an anchor in this movie as to why these two factions don't like each other. I like there's one part where one of the guys is turning to leave and like they're thinking about leaving and he's like, if we leave, do not forget to chew tobacco leaves. And I was like, that's a great line in the documentary. Make sure to grab the tobacco. That kind of thing. Love it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm still a blind film critic, and this doesn't have audio description. So it was just a bunch of people talking about and I just sort of pictured them walking through a jungle of some jungliness, some some sort of just some trees were around, and I don't know. And they're just kind of like stepping over a root because they don't want to cut it. And I don't know, it's just sort of like less interesting because I didn't have any context. I didn't know anything anybody looked like, really the size of the parties. The mercenaries, like how mercenary are they? Are they carrying like some serious weapons or just like machetes? Are they like armed to the teeth here? Are they, what's their deal? I know we can't show their faces, but can we show their gear? Like, what's up with them? Like what do we got going on? Do they care about the roots? So yeah, it's very kind of interesting. So I think there's a story and we told it, and it's sort of like the Thai cave rescue thing. Like it was a big story that happened at the time, and then we made movies about it. We made like documentaries. We made there's a limited series that's in Thai, I think, that was on Netflix. um Thai cave rescue. There was, of course, Ron Howard's movie. So like everybody took advantage of that situation, but none of that really won any awards, because they didn't really need to. That wasn't really the point. But it was, we documented the experience, and there were people who were there with cameras who documented the experience. But I think that's kind of where it stops. So I think The Lost Children is a good, maybe not great documentary. I'm gonna go ahead and grade it, even though, do I think the grade would fluctuate a whole lot with audio description? I don't know. I don't think so. But it's it's this weird thing with documentaries where because there's so much talking and they have to stop and they do the come talk to the camera thing. There's not a whole lot of, you would think because they're in nature that there are, lots of open moments where they just sort of sit and stare at the wonder of, that's not what this is about though. So it is sort of about this journey of them walking through. And so I just, context shaping and framing is more about what the audio description would be doing here instead of explaining, exploring, that kind of thing. So um, it's okay. I wanted more from a certain angle of it, but I think it's fine. I'm gonna give The Lost Children a B. We've got some powerhouse documentaries this year, so check it out anyway, though. It's on Netflix. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.